Morning, good morning, good morning. It's still the morning. Yes, it's definitely still the morning. For instance, I think it is. Yeah, damn. Anyway, so good morning. Welcome back to Thailand. I'm True Blue Thai, for instance, and for instance, this is my what's it called? Assessment of what the game is on Man City against Bournemouth. Okay, I'm outside for the first time. What's it called? We're in a Thai neighbourhood, so if I swing the camera around, you'll be able to see it. And it's the 1st of November, 1st of Nung Dula Prisigayong, etc. That's there we go. It's around the 1st of November 2024, or I think it's 2567 or something in Thai calendar or something. Yeah, don't quote me on it, I think I'm wrong on that one. They follow a Buddhist calendar here. So I'm outside my home, for instance, and yeah, we have a bit of a wild kingdom going on here. Put a few silly things up, so just writing things up. Yeah, so for instance, it was a beautiful sunny morning, and now from Gunteb comes over, which is in that way, Gunteb, Bangkok, and for instance, which is that way. For instance, there's a bit of a cloud coming over. It always seems to come from that direction. It's weird. It actually comes over the big over the top. Anyway, so for instance, we are in a Thai neighbourhood. For instance, the majority of the Thais have gone to work, and but there's a cafe just up the road here, just here, and you get a lot of people come into the cafe and they see a Falang, a foreigner, like myself, etc., sit here because not many Falangs stay here, and so they're always a bit of a ooh, who's that? So especially a blondie Falang. This is my real hair, by the way. What's it called? It's not fake or anything like that. It's just blonde hair, blue eyes, unfortunately. Blue eyes, Man City. Anyway, so for instance, yeah, just if you don't know me, my name's True Blue Thai, for instance, and I'm a big Man City fan, born in Manchester, for instance, but lived overseas most of my adult life. But I've been following Man City, for instance. Oh, there you go. See, yeah, it's supposed to be out of the rainy season. It's supposed to be out of the rainy season. It's not like that. There you go. So honestly, if you look over that side, there's not a cloud in the sky. It's been 30 plus degrees, and then suddenly you're going to get a bit of, lightning and thunder and lightning, for instance. It's really, really weird. And then suddenly, for instance, yeah, I've got the washing out and everything, so it's just. Welcome to Thailand. But it's supposed to be start of the dry season, not dry season, but the cold season, the winter season. But even that's been put on hold because of the rain is still hanging around. So I know there's a big, massive typhoon over in Taiwan. Big up to the people in Taiwan. I hope you're okay. I know in Spain you've had it pretty bad over there, for instance, and so Valencia. I used to live in Spain, etc. So I know how what's it called? Yeah, lovely country, absolutely beautiful country. Food, wine, my favorite wine of all time, Spain, Spanish wine. Anyway, so as I said, so I'm a Manchester City fan, living in Manchester, in Thailand. Last here 3 years, same in the Thai area. 3 years in the Jomchen area, for instance, not too far away. The beach is just over there. I don't choose to live in condominiums and all this kind of nonsense. They're paying ridiculous amount to live in a flat, as far as I'm concerned. You can call it what the hell you like. It's just a high-rise flat or apartment. And as they say in Denmark, because I lived in Scandinavia for a long time. And yeah, it's some what's it called. So I prefer to live in it with the Thai areas, and this is where I live. So, for instance, I'm quite happy here. Anyway, it's cheap and it's cheerful and whatever. I live with my lady, for instance, a Thai lady, with pain in the ass, etc. For instance, I call her because not easy. Women are not easy. Honestly. So, but anyway, it's another story. Anyway, so we're here to talk about Manchester City, and we've got a game tomorrow, for instance, against Bournemouth. AFC Bournemouth. Now, on paper, for instance, at 3 o'clock Saturday, whatever, in 3 o'clock. For instance, so it should be about 11 o'clock start for me. I think it's normally 11 p.m. start. So it's not too bad compared to the Spurs game, which was 3 p.m. start. I think it was 3 a.m. start, like I think it will be next week, etc. Sporting Lisbon. But yeah, for instance, so for instance, normally, and looking at the stats, because I've actually listened to a do a bit of research. I've done so. I've listened to a Bournemouth channel, etc. And they're like, and they've entitled their I think the back of the net they call themselves, and they were titling their stream "Sick of City, Bored of City." I'm thinking, what? Anyway, so they're just sick and tired of losing to Manchester City. So yeah, I know. So it appears that, for instance, the stats are not pretty good. They've lost every single game they played for Manchester City, even when they were in Division Two, for instance, with City, for instance, and were there, for instance. But in the Premier League, they've lost all 19 home and away. So, for instance, normally, for instance, I would go into this game thinking, "Yay, got Bournemouth." So, for instance, and but it's not quite the same, and it's not quite the same for two reasons. Well, quite a few reasons. Two main reasons. One, Man City are coming in with half the squad, when only 40% of the squad, for instance, injured, and we didn't have a massive squad to begin with, regardless of what the media says. We don't have a big squad. We have good players, but we don't have a big squad. And for instance, and so so we've got a lot of injuries, and players who are question mark injuries. So, for instance, which concerns me considerably. You get one, maybe two, but not three. Anyway, so yeah, and for instance, I've also got. They're also going for a bit of good form at the moment. Now they're in 13th in the position, Bournemouth, where Man City are top of the league. But the thing is about Bournemouth, they've had some pretty damn decent results, and they're on a bit of a winning streak. I think they're doing three in a row at the moment. They've also had a good result against Aston Villa, good draw against Aston Villa, and then they had they beat, for instance, Arsenal, as you know, when Arsenal lost their player, for instance, and lost, he went out, for instance, and Arsenal did a lot of crying, and for instance, and yeah, anyway, so. But so they beaten Arsenal and drew with Villa. So and that's not needs to be started. So they're doing pretty good at the moment. So they're not doing bad. So really, and so it is but it's a must-win game for City if we want to maintain our top of the Premier League. But also, for instance, because of the likes of Liverpool and Liverpool and for instance, Arsenal, for instance, they've got difficult games. So City need to take advantage of these games. And at the moment, etc., we're not doing that. So, for instance, well, we are doing that, for instance, and we've got to continue doing that. And even though, for instance, the games where we're winning, because they were an unbeaten team in the Premier League, for instance, we're not doing it convincingly. And now we've got less players. So, for instance, it's even worse. So to sit there and say that, so for instance, so it's not good at all. It really isn't. So with what's going on, while we're playing, well, that's a bit harsh, really. Not good because, quite honestly, for instance, and just we're still unbeaten. For instance, but it's for instance, we're not playing particularly well. But we've also had it. For instance, considering with a lot of players coming back late from international breaks, players tired, players not getting enough rest, say, listen, come back when you're fresh. But we also had a decent squad there, for instance, and we had enough players to cover the players who weren't back. So players were coming back fits and starts, and then players were picking up injuries, and then we lost Rodri, and then we lost Bob, and so for instance, it's been Bob and Rodri, for instance, and now we've asked we've had a consistent squad or a consistent team for for a long time. All the way through, all the way through the season, or for this quarter of the season. So it's not been great. It's not been good. So I've been, and now, for instance, where we are right now is for instance, where we are right now is the fact that we are, for instance, I wouldn't say struggling. We're kind of struggling defensively, even though we've had a couple of clean sheets. We're conceding goals, especially on the transition. For instance, and so it's going to be a difficult game. It really is. It's not going to be an easy game like we would normally, and because this team's going to come in, they're going to be solid. They're going to be They're going to be. I've listened to this back of the net thing and see what they think they're going to play. They were talking about playing a back five, for instance. Anyway, so it's but they think they might just go with the four because it's but we'll see. Anyway, so let's talk about City and see what we can talk about. Who we think is going to be playing, who's going to be who fit. The bench is probably going to be full of EDS. I don't know whether they'll play EDS players. I can't see so. For instance, when we have bringing EDS players on. So, but we had a bit of good news about Akanji. Akanji, for instance, appears that, for instance, he looked like he was going to be training today. For instance, again, this is Friday morning here in Thailand, etc. So we're way in front of the press press conference and the players' final training session before they go off to Bournemouth. So. We have to. So, but did get news on. I saw on Twitter saying Akanji was playing. I believe Aki and Diaz had a knock with it. Were limping a little bit, but I believe they're okay. Again, also Guardiola, for instance, who also had treatment on the pitch for I look like groin, or it could be, for instance, abdominal. I don't know. For instance, it was just up here, so I'm not quite sure. For instance, what he's got. Again, for instance, Pep's very coy on. He never comes out and says things. What Pep players have got too much. He's very coy in what he says. He says, "I'm not a doctor," for instance, which he isn't. Whatever, and get a big up for him that. But yeah, so we don't really know, for instance. So hopefully, for instance, but I would say they're gonna include Akanji, include well for me, for instance, I think they got to rest Rico Lewis because he looked absolutely shattered, and he's doing a fantastic job. But I think he looks really tired. I don't think he can. So if I was going to play City, I'd be playing a back four of Aki, Diaz, Akanji, and Guardiola. Hopefully, for instance, we can get that with Eddie in there, of course. I would see if I can play Gundo. I think Gundo's got to have a good game. I think, for instance, I trust in Gundo. For instance, he will. A lot of people, people probably put him as being, not well out of sorts. I think he got cooked. I think on LB's channel yesterday, for instance, they were saying about give him a 5 and a 3 and a 1 on his match ratings. He only played 45 minutes. He had his worst game. But I still got faith in this guy. This guy's got talent. I think he can. I think we've got to play him. I think we do. We've got to keep on sticking him in there because I think he will turn up for us. With Kovacic, who's been absolutely playing a blinder at the moment, for instance. So he's doing really well with us. And I would have Bernardo on the right. I would have Nunes, who's cooking on the left. So Foden in the middle and Haaland up top. So, for instance, but that's what I would have, etc. For instance, how it would go, I don't know. Um, yeah. So, but and then we would have got on the bench. Probably have John Stones on the bench, and maybe I don't know. For instance, Lewis probably, for instance, and a few other and McAtee and a few other academy players. But I think that's it. We're gonna have a very fit burn squad. Um, Yeah, again, for instance, and this is my guess of actually what I think who's fit, but it's going to be a question mark, and for instance, and we're going to have to wait until, for instance, the starting lineup because regardless of even listening to Pep's press conferences, there's going to be a lot of he's going to be very coy in who's going to play, and I think, for instance, and we're going to have to wait until tomorrow at 3 o'clock or an hour before kick-off when the teams are announced before who's playing. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It really is. I still feel overall that, for instance, we got that squad, and with Haaland rested, that for instance we should get the points. But it's going to be a lot closer games than what it has normally. For instance, I normally like to go into the vitality, for instance, and even getting all 3 points and feeling confident and going down there. I'm sure the City fans will be going down. If you're going down there, big up to you, for instance, and because I love your support wherever City go. For instance, great support, amazing support. And for instance, and it's a cost if you're going to Spurs and then come in the middle of the week and then going all the way down there and probably end up going to Sporting. The money cost is ridiculous. So yeah, and if you're going down there, for instance, it's not cheap. It's a long way, and yeah. So and big up to you, for instance, if you're going. Okay, so for instance, they were giving the Bournemouth team. I don't know them. I don't know them. I'm sorry, I don't. I wish I but they're having the Travis as a goalkeeper. They have Smith, Zabarian, Sensi. I do apologise if I've actually said anybody's names wrong or whatever. Sensi and Katya. Sorry again, for instance, if I don't know. They're having a 4-2-3-1, same, probably very similar to City. For instance, because the guys, if I don't think they're going to go back five, they could go back five, but they probably won't because I think they'll have. Because I'll tell you the reason why in a minute. In the middle, they'll have to go for Adam and Cook. For their forward line, they're going for Okram, Christie, Semenko, and up front, Everson. I think Everson, etc. He's a half decent player, so I think that's how they will line up. They believe that's where they will line up. They're quite confident. They're doing quite well. For instance, against the Villa and Arsenal, etc. These games they played, and so I don't think they'll go too defensive against City. What's it called? But let's see. For instance, I hope they don't. I hope we have a good game. We both play the same systems, etc., and both, because I'm sick and tired of all this. But the problem is they'll be looking at it and saying, "Well, this is our goal." And you look at the Ipswich, you look at Southampton, you look at Southampton hit the crossbars, and you look at the Spurs game, etc. For instance, and how they scored, and it was always, and for instance, catches on the break. So could you be pushed high up? Whether City will, I want City to probably hold back a little bit and don't push too far forward to stop the transition. If that's the case, if they're going to play a back five, we've got to stop that conceding ridiculous goals. We can't. And for instance, we're not scoring enough goals for me, as far as I'm concerned. We're pushing teams back, playing them on the area, but not taking enough shots. We're not for instance, at corners. It's still not, we're not winning on corners at the moment. For instance, I just feel that, for instance, when the EDS players came on, for instance, against Spurs, etc., that Wright, etc., he had a shot, and what's his name? The tall guy. Yes. For instance, he had a shot. For instance, he was shooting, and I want us to. I know Pep doesn't want us to do that, but he wants us to be more concerned. Make sure we get the right chance, but knocking the ball back and forth and like tippy tappy as it were. I don't mean it's tippy tappy football, but it's not. We're not creating enough. We're not. Yeah, and sometimes I think you just need to have a shot. And I just think, for instance, we need this. What we need to do, we need to be more decisive in our play, and I think we've been very indecisive. It's all right. There's pretty football. It's pushing people, and you've got the ball. They haven't got the ball. But at the end of the day, for instance, it doesn't feel, for instance, we know, like it's good on the eye, but we're not achieving anything, and so, for instance, and yeah, and I just feel that, for instance, we need to be, and again, they're going to be, they're going to put these two on Haaland. It's going to be difficult to break. They're going to break down. So they're a good team. They're not even at the 13th position, etc. They're in a good, decent run of form. So there's not going to be an easy game. It's a small, compact ground, but it's not going to be an easy game. So but we've got to be decisive with our goals. If we score first, etc. For instance, and really, put the pressure on them, then, for instance, I think it will be a 3-point win. So a City win, for instance, we can go back to Manchester with a smile on our face. But if it's not, for instance, if we're, again, for instance, if we're not being decisive and don't score early, then, for instance, anything can happen. So, for instance, these guys weren't very confident on back of the net. For instance, considering if you look at stats For instance, and I think they put up a stats thing, etc., but which was quite interesting, really. And sometimes you have to look at stats, and because stats past, etc., can't be relevant to the future. What's it called? They're saying that Michael Oliver, they didn't want Michael Oliver as the referee. He's going to be the referee official tomorrow. What's it called? We both got our issues with Michael Oliver, especially after his mistake over the last weekend, etc. We'll see. But that could be here, there. As long as he doesn't want to make it all about him, then I'm okay with it. And VAR do their job properly. But when it comes down to things like goal attempts, that was because they can do the comparison between City and Bournemouth. The goal attempts were City's. We got more goal attempts than them. Their big chances was Bournemouth. For instance, they've had more chances than City. For instance, the big chances. Goals attempt conceded. For instance, that was City, and then and goals scored was City. The XG was also City's as well. So, for instance, overall, for instance, it does look pretty positive for Manchester City. So, but again, for instance, I'm it could be a pretty damn close game. So especially with our injuries and the fact that we can't change it around. Um, so obviously we've also got midweek to think about. But I think the most important game was Sporting, but we still got time. Even if we don't win against Sporting, we still got time to what's it called? To rectify that as well. Anyway, so my feelings about the game, etc. Goals attempts per game was scored with one as well. So, but yeah, my feelings again to get what's it called again because normally, for instance, I'm going, we're playing Bournemouth tomorrow. I'm looking forward to the game, but get the loud cow out. For instance, gonna be able to get a bit of sun and maybe go for a bit of a jog in the morning. And but at the moment, etc., I'm a bit nervous. So, but I'm gonna go for a City win. And the reason why, because I think, I think a Haaland or a Kovacic goal or something, maybe Nunes. I feel that we're too strong for them. But again, it's going to be a tough game. But yeah, but I'm hoping for 3 points. And so I don't know what you guys are thinking about. So, but I hope we get these players back, especially Grealish, Walker, and KDB. KDB's, I talk about in the end of the new year and after the transfer window. It's like not transfer window, the international break, and it is. It's concerning. For instance, like when. With these players, etc. I'm not too sure of exactly what we've got. Neighbour leaving for work. They love their motorbikes over here in Thailand. And and if you come to Thailand again, what's it called? Ride a motorbike. You've got to look after yourself. You really have. And I listened to Phuket yesterday news. And there was 145 deaths in Thailand on motorbike. Sorry, in Phuket. In Phuket, 145 deaths so far this year, and that's from Mokalakon January till now, and 21,000 injuries. That's in Phuket. In Phuket. So for God's sake, honestly, it's a small island, so you really got to look after yourself if you're coming over here in Thailand. A lot of people ride around on motorbikes without helmets. Yes, it's okay to do it in Benidorm and places like that, but in the South Benidorm, as I call Pattaya, for instance, don't be smart. The roads here are mad, mad. And for instance, cars come up and people ride crazy. Anyway, so by the looks of it, so I did my prediction. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a 2-1. I think we'll get over the line. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think Francis will go for a 2-1. But it's going to be a hard one, and as long as we get the 3 points, with no more injuries, stay fit. Honestly, I've never known anything like it. So, Pep said it's his worst in his 9 years at City, and So, but I do believe, I think we'll go for a 2-1 with, because It's, God. Top of the league, we're Man City, and I'm like, oh god, it's like god, and so it's so depressing, and you have so many injuries and so many, like God, who is? But then again, look at these Bournemouth guys; they're all going, "No, City, we got City tomorrow." It's like, yeah, it's like, oi, yes. So let's be positive. Come on, Peter. Come on, Susu. Susu is the second time. We're Man City. Come on. Anyway, so this is True Blue Thai from Thailand. Hope you're having a good day. We've only had one bit of a fun storm thing. The clouds are still coming over, but anything bad yet. So whether we'll get a bit of rain, I don't know. So yeah, we'll go back to the supermarket a bit as well. Get some fun and bang. Might go jog up to the supermarket. Yeah. Yeah, I was very fat when I first came to Thailand. It was something like Nung Loi has Hosit kilo. Yeah, it was 160 kilos. Now I'm 50. How's it? But yeah, anyway, guys, so enjoy the game tomorrow if you're going. Good luck to yourself. Stay safe. For instance, let's pray for the 3 points. This is True Blue Thai coming live from Thailand on the 1st of a new month in November. I hope you have a good Halloween if you have a Halloween, and I'll speak to you guys tomorrow after the game. Let's see, hopefully, for instance, we're still top of the league. Okay, take care. Okay.